Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. This is our first official video that's not just an introduction. So we do want to let everybody know that, there's a trigger warning. We are going to be speaking a lot about addiction, possibly some mental health type stuff in this video as well. So Harley is just here to say hello for now. Then when she leaves, we shall continue. So Carly has gone out to the garage. So I will get started. Like I said, when we started, is trigger warning, guys. This is mainly about addiction. So I don't want you to have any kids that are not prepped and ready to hear these kinds of things listening to this video. And do keep in mind that I am going to do my best to keep my family's names and such out of our content. They have suffered enough through my addiction. They don't need to be publicly announced either. So, guess I'm going to start with saying I don't personally blame my family at all. And I would hope that anybody listening or going through their own addiction realizes that that's on them. That's not on their family. That's not on their upbringing or anything. Those were choices that I made to my life in a negative manner. My family and friends may have been around at that point, but nobody ever forced me into addiction. I did not have a affect my life in a negative manner. My family and friends may have been around at that point, but nobody ever forced me into addiction. I did not have a traumatic upbringing or anything of that nature. I had a very good and what I felt like was a very healthy childhood. When I was between 8 and 10, my mom and dad got divorced. I was fortunate enough that my mom remarried an amazing man who is my stepdad. My mom and my stepdad are still married. My dad unfortunately passed away in 2022 from liver cancer. So I do not blame them in any way. They were nothing but amazing parents, supportive all the time, loving, caring. We went on family vacations. We, went camping. Like, I could say nothing bad about my childhood at any point. Like, I was one of the most fortunate kids that I know of, honestly. Like, I know a lot of people I've met along the way had very traumatic upbringings, but I was fortunate enough not to be one of those. I just made some severely bad decisions along my journey. So when my mom remarried my stepdad, I was blessed with 2 stepsisters and a stepbrother who were also always supportive and caring along my journey. I have a brother as well who has been around my whole life and is honestly one of my best friends and absolutely love him, and he has also always been supportive. He's been my best friend. He's been a very large part of my recovery as well. So yes, I do not blame any part of my family for anything revolving around my addiction. I was so extremely fortunate in the family department, and I know that I was very blessed in that area.
So I also want to mention, I will not allow people to say that, oh, my parents getting divorced caused this, or, no, that's not how any of it happened whatsoever. So I do feel like that growing up that I personally dealt with, like, always wanting to fit in somewhere. I worked on through counseling and stuff earlier in my recovery, and I don't feel like it's something I strive for, I guess would be the word, anymore. But regardless, so when I first knew I had an addiction problem was pretty long after I actually had an addiction problem, which I think most addicts would say that. But I didn't think it was a problem for a long time because I was still working and nobody knew what I was doing and stuff like that. So I feel like my addiction started in 2008. So Carly was probably, so she would have been like about 20 months old, maybe 22 months old. So it was Thanksgiving Eve of 2008. I had gotten pulled over, and at this time, the only thing I did was smoke, and I had done that maybe 2 hours prior to being pulled over. And the cop was being kind of a smartass when he came up to the car. And so I, being a cocky, 24, 25-year-old, was being a smartass back. And I ended up being taken to the hospital and got a DUI for Mary Jane. I don't know if that's even something I can say on the internet. A lot of the addiction words are keyed out, and he ended up getting kicked off for it. So regardless, my DOC is opiates. So when I was released from the police station that evening, the person that came and picked me up, we went and picked up my car in the parking lot. The cops left it in. And then we went back to my apartment, and he had called somebody over that had this and got some of that and just did it nasally for quite some time. And doing it that way, when I started, I was doing it maybe one night on a weekend. You know what I mean? For, a month or two. And then I started doing it 2 nights, and then it became 3 nights, and then it was every damn day. And then about, I'd say maybe a year later, I ended up moving to a house. And one of the people that I had living with me, who was supposed to be helping babysit while I was at work, ended up introducing me to IV use. And from that, it was pretty much off to the fucking races. She introduced me by saying, oh, you're doing so much the other way. You could do so much less and save so much money if you did it this way. So I thought, oh, I'd be saving money. Yeah, well, it didn't take long till I was literally spending just as much doing it the other way, because your tolerance grows so quickly when you're doing that type of thing, which, I mean, most people, even non-addicts, know that nowadays. But in the early 2000s, it wasn't as talked about as it is now. Definitely not. So this is all happening. Carly is under 3 years old. And I was working at a very large company at this point and making pretty good money. But still begging my parents to
help me with my electric bill or my rent or groceries, because I was spending every dime I made trying to stay, what they say, well or unsick, because if you didn't have the opiate in your system, you literally could not function. First DUI, because I felt like I threw my whole life down the drain at that point, and I was like, well, I already ruined it. Why not just go full force, you know? Which, in all reality, if I would have, like, spoke to my parents, they would have helped me and encouraged me to, you know, do what I needed to do in order to fix the situation I had caused, because it wouldn't have cost me my job or, you know, my house or anything of that manner that I thought it was. I would catastrophize any little thing into it's going to be the end of the world type situation. But I think that's where I'm gonna stop for today. Just letting you guys know that's where I feel my addiction actually started. Now, I don't know that I thought I was an addict until much later down the road, which we'll get into that. There's years and years and years we're going to cover here. I was a full-blown drug addict for, I'd say, 14 to 15 years. So there's a lot to cover, so we're going to break it up and do numerous videos. But going to pause for a minute, and I'll call Carly back in, and we'll say goodbye for today. I do just want to say one more time, I absolutely love my family. They have been nothing but supportive. My mom, my dad, my stepdad, stepsisters, brothers, stepsisters, stepbrother, and my brother have all been nothing but supportive and caring and loving to me my entire life and addiction. So there is no blame to throw in their direction whatsoever. So please do keep that in mind as we move forward, as well as if you know my family and I don't know how to say this, leave them out of it. You know, they've suffered enough because of me. They don't need it thrown in their faces. So please do me that much grace in leaving them the hell out of it. All right, so as you see, Carly's back.
Hi.
Anything you want to say before we close out for today?
Thank you to everybody who engaged in the last videos. Very much appreciated. Keep engaging. Ask questions if you have questions. Like we've said before, we'll answer as long as we feel, you know, within comfortability to answer said questions. But
we also plan on doing a video, maybe 2-3 rounds from now, of just answering your questions. So please start at least thinking up questions that you want the answers to, so that, you know,
ask them on the next video if you don't know them for certain now.
Yeah, so that we can do that video for you as well. But for the most part, I think we're done for today. Yeah, appreciate you coming to watch our video, and keep following and tell your friends about us and all of that stuff. And have a good night.
Bye.
See ya.